The persistent vibration above my ceiling wasn't just irritating, it was suspiciously rhythmic, like a metronome designed by someone with no sense of peace. Initially, I assumed it was a failing AC unit or perhaps unwelcome visitors in the attic. But when a government server Zoom call dropped for precisely 6 seconds, my instincts sharpened. That might seem inconsequential to most, but in my profession, 6 seconds of interference could cost lives. I stood up calmly, muted the call, and climbed the attic ladder. What I discovered nearly made me laugh, not from amusement, but from the sheer audacity of it. There, drilled directly into the support beam of my federal cyber monitoring station, disguised as an ordinary suburban home, was a blinking Wi-Fi relay box marked with a cheap HOA sticker. The cable snaked out the window, across the roof, and down to a signal repeater bolted to my chimney. I hadn't authorized this. Hell, I hadn't even been notified. Someone had installed unauthorized broadcast equipment on the roof of a national security agency digital dead zone. They'd piggybacked onto the wrong house, not wrong in the legal sense, but wrong in the classified eyes-only black badge clearance sense. I descended the ladder, shut the attic hatch, and let silence settle in my living room. My cat, Mr. Whiskers, looked at me as if I'd lost my mind. Perhaps I had. Or maybe, after 5 years maintaining cover in this HOA neighborhood as mild-mannered IT consultant Dennis Mitchell, my cover would finally be tested. In my office, I opened an antique cabinet that neighbors assumed held rare whiskey. Inside lay my real work: a secure laptop, biometric lock, a hardened satellite uplink disguised as a vintage turntable, and a counter-surveillance monitor capable of detecting anomalies within 400 meters. The moment I reconnected, red panes illuminated my proximity grid. The HOA's amateur project wasn't just bouncing internet, it was sniffing metadata, frequency tagging, possibly even device mirroring. I remained composed, but amusement crept in. The HOA board had somehow approved a Wi-Fi repeater installation, climbed onto my roof without courtesy, and mounted a surveillance antenna at the center of a classified agency facility. I wouldn't go nuclear immediately. Years in intelligence taught me one golden rule: let the enemy expose themselves. I called Karen Billingsley, the HOA president, a woman who ran the neighborhood like a cruise director on a power trip. When I inquired about recent technology installations, she sighed dramatically. "Oh yes, we finally got that tower operational. Isn't it wonderful? We chose your house for its superior line of sight, and you weren't utilizing your roof space anyway." Her words hung in the air as she explained how it would boost speeds for approved devices and reduce traffic during HOA meetings. When I mentioned permission, she scoffed. "We assumed you'd be agreeable. You're just the it guy, right?" I disconnected before sarcasm could escalate to felony threats. Staring at my screen, I reflected on my cover's delicate nature, years of barbecue attendance, nodding through complaints about trash bins and lawn heights. Now the HOA had not only compromised a federal listening post but exposed every connected device to my servers. If anyone probed too deeply, counter-intrusion protocols would flag my location as compromised. I had 48 hours to get ahead of this. That night, I scaled the roof with a red-filtered flashlight and examined the setup. The hardware wasn't amateur. Someone possessed technical knowledge. The repeater was commercial grade. They weren't just boosting Wi-Fi. They were harvesting usage statistics, possibly browser metadata. Following cables to the tower base, hidden behind decorative trellises near the HOA clubhouse, I detected recent remote admin console connections. Someone had tested the system within the hour, unknowingly playing in a digital minefield. Back inside, I constructed a digital honeypot, fake files, decoy folders. I labeled one NSA_internal_backup_2020, baiting with nonsense, scrambled files, and one tempting do_not_open.x buried 3 levels deep. The next morning, someone accessed my NSA folder from an unregistered HOA IP address. They downloaded fake PDFs and attempted opening the executable. I traced the MAC address to a generic HOA laptop model, a Dell Vostro. They'd interacted with perceived government data, potentially committing federal crimes. Instead, they triggered a silent tracer. Every keystroke on that machine now mirrored on my secure terminal. I leaned back, observing live feeds as the HOA administrator unwittingly opened a spreadsheet labeled resident_overuse_report. It contained names, browsing histories, data consumption stats. They weren't just boosting Wi-Fi, they were monetizing resident streaming habits. My quiet neighborhood of retirees and tablet-using toddlers was being data farmed by an HOA surveillance operation. And they had the audacity to call me just the it guy. They wanted fast internet. I'd show them speed, but not the kind they'd enjoy. They craved data control. I'd demonstrate real cybersecurity lockdown. They thought they understood networks, unaware that their chosen target was the most dangerous home in the entire state. By week's end, real authorities would arrive, not with fines, but warrants. The following morning felt surreal. Birds still chirped, sprinklers still ticked across manicured lawns, but tension electrified the air. I sat on my patio, scanning honeypot traffic while sipping coffee. Intrusions had multiplied. Multiple login attempts, multiple downloads. Someone had grown paranoid. A new IP emerged, another laptop accessing the same decoy folder. They even attempted primitive decryption. Amateurish but persistent, like poking a sleeping lion without recognizing its teeth. The logs revealed another MAT address, Karen's personal laptop. She joined the digital treasure hunt. Almost impressive. Karen, who once emailed warnings about non-approved garden gnomes, now delved into spoof files and proxy tunnels. I drafted an anonymous email to the HOA board. Subject line, unauthorized surveillance system detected. Urgent remediation required. The message detailed suspicious network behavior, potential legal liability, and recommended immediate shutdown. I attached a spoof notice from the Federal Communications Review Board with a legitimate-looking watermark. Within an hour, Karen paced the sidewalk, voice sharp on her phone. She was in crisis mode, barking at someone named Thomas from technical support. Thomas arrived nervous, tools bulging from his backpack. They approached my house while I monitored security cameras. Karen knocked, smiled stiffly, and claimed they were performing maintenance. When I questioned their unauthorized installation, she waved dismissively. Community property according to bylaws. Your roof is shared elevation serving communal benefit. Thomas sweated despite mild weather. I detected his worry, perhaps from seeing tracer logs. They attempted log erasure, smart but inefficient. I mirrored every deletion, saving files with timestamps and MAC addresses. By afternoon, the tower operated slower. Karen likely ordered partial shutdown while maintaining control. Her pattern: assert dominance until panic passes, then feign misunderstanding. I triggered Phase 2. The honeypot now contained NSO_satellite_relay_zones_level_4_clearance. When opened, encrypted triggers would dispatch automated reports to federal monitoring offices with location signatures and evidence. That evening, someone accessed the file. The system logged HOA_techadmin01. Alert dispatched. My role was reporting digital intrusion, not arrests. But the protocol demanded verification. I anticipated the storm's formation. Next day brought ominous silence. I was watering my lawn when black SUVs entered the cul-de-sac. Men in plain suits exited, entered the HOA office. They spoke little, just enough to unsettle, enough to let Karen know she'd been observed. Minutes later, she emerged pale, clutching her phone like a weapon. Her whispered conversation carried phrases like, "No, I didn't know," and "it was just for Wi-Fi." The agents wouldn't expose me. NSA discretion protected my cover. I remained the quiet neighbor with strong internet. Karen presided over the most monitored HOA in the state. Night brought familiar calm with underlying tension. I monitored updates in darkness, screen illuminating soft flashes. Everything had been archived securely. Karen's unraveling accelerated. Her disheveled appearance drew neighborhood speculation. I offered polite nods, letting rumors flourish. Around noon, I received coded confirmation from Field Office 7. The message read, "Local authority approval granted. Proceed as briefed. Sweep begins 800. Next. I had until morning for isolation protocols. Karen wouldn't surrender quietly. People like her attempt salvaging power through lies. Her move came at 3 p.m. A controlled knock announced Karen with a legal representative, Mr. Patrick Williams, wearing an uncomfortable smile. Karen delivered rehearsed explanations about misunderstandings, claiming no data collection intent, attributing accessed files to software errors interpreting metadata. I listened silently until asking one question. Did you personally access a folder named NSA_internal_backup_2020? Her mouth froze. Williams looked confused. She stammered, claiming accidental clicks. I displayed timestamp logs, IP addresses, screen captures. No badge required. Proof sufficed. Karen paled. Williams scanned for loopholes, sweating. After silence, Karen asked my demands. I clarified. No negotiations. Federal investigation had commenced. Tampering with cyber infrastructure carried automatic consequences. They departed silently, shuffling like disciplined children. I finalized reports, encrypting data for field teams. That evening, observing workers remove tower components. I knew Karen's panic only worsened matters. She destroyed superficial evidence, leaving digital traces for authorities. Midnight brought one last alert. Karen's laptop pinged the honeypot again. Automatic update attempted resynchronization. It failed but logged recent activity. A document titled HOA_funds_refund_policy. Her strategy: silence, offer refunds, hope issues fade, futile. Federal logs don't erase. She now appeared as a subject in breach investigations. I leaned back, satisfied. Operation exceeded expectations. Cover intact, neighborhood unaware. Karen's empire of notices and fines had crumbled while she remained oblivious to full implications. Tomorrow would transform everything, not just for her, but the entire board. They thought they manipulated signals. Instead, they'd stepped into landmines. Final sweep approached. Morning began before dawn. I dressed, logged in, prepared. Agents confirmed protocol initiation. My role: observe unless escalation warranted intervention. Utility vans rolled quietly into view. No logos or lights needed. Expert federal tech teams specialized in digital forensics. Their first stop, the community center housing dismantled equipment. More vehicles followed. Agents emerged, appearing as consultants. Encrypted cases, biometric wristbands distinguishing them. Karen appeared in her bathrobe, eyes widening at the vehicles. She dialed frantically, then approached agents. Her gestures grew desperate as she read presented documents. Papers didn't offer escape routes. Her protests meant nothing against federal warrants processed through multiple channels. When agents gestured toward the clubhouse, she nodded numbly, her robe dragging like a defeated banner. The sweep commenced invisibly to most residents. My system monitored wireless scans, device identifications, network mapping. They sought rogue access points, unauthorized backups beyond the tower. Thomas appeared reluctantly, visibly shaken. Unlike Karen, he remained quiet, sitting with head bowed, recognizing his predicament. By noon, collection expanded to board members' electronics. I observed arguments at doorsteps, futile resistance against federal authority. Neighborhood whispers speculated: hacking, embezzlement, conspiracies. None guessed the truth. I wouldn't enlighten them. Karen alternated between frozen terror and paralyzed grip on reality. Her car sessions revealed dawning comprehension of consequences. By dusk, agents completed extraction. Secured data transferred to NSA forensics. I powered down systems, restoring civilian anonymity. Evening brought a final neighborhood stroll. Passing Karen's house, I noticed her missing HOA president plaque, replaced by fresh dirt. Cleanup had begun. Children played basketball, laughing carefree. Their Wi-Fi functioned normally, no surveillance, throttling, or tracking. Liberation felt satisfying. Stargazing that night, I reflected on absurdity. A Wi-Fi tower toppling a local tyrant. But it transcended technology. It addressed trust, boundaries, and consequences for unchecked power. Tomorrow would reshape HOA dynamics. Karen might retain fragments of authority, but her reign ended. Meanwhile, I continue as the neighbor with tidy hedges and mysteriously robust internet. Sometimes revenge whispers instead of shouts, audible only to intended ears. Dawn brought deceptive normalcy to streets hiding turmoil. The clubhouse remained sealed, vague notices citing technical maintenance. Karen's absence spoke volumes. For someone who dominated communications, her disappearance was conspicuous and damning. From my porch, neighbors passed with loaded questions they feared asking. Some waved nervously, others avoided eye contact, wondering what I knew. Mid-morning brought the SUV directly to Karen's door. Agents presented documents, collected electronics. No dramatics, surgical precision. Karen emerged dressed sharply, resigned rather than shocked. She surrendered devices without resistance, closing her door on the world continuing without her. Within hours, her name vanished from HOA systems. Her digital reign concluded through collapse, not democracy. Mrs. Patricia Carmichael succeeded temporarily, a retired educator avoiding conflict. Her transparent approach earned immediate goodwill, surpassing Karen's 3-year tenure. Reopened clubhouse reviews revealed shocking discoveries: inflated fines, mysterious charges, privacy violations. Outrage ignited collective action. Refund demands, lawsuit threats, media attention. Karen's name attached to every questionable decision. She retreated completely. Curtains drawn, lights darkened. Her fall from dictating mailbox colors to invisible resident was spectacular. Behind scenes, my honeypot operation succeeded flawlessly. Every abuse, every login, every deletion attempt was archived federally. Karen's attempts at evidence destruction merely supplemented records. Her future applications would trigger background alerts. Any public administration involvement faced automatic scrutiny. She became a cautionary example of petty power meeting accountability. My assignment concluded. Temporary installations dismantled, networks sanitized, house reset to unassuming normalcy. Rotation time approached. New locations, new operations required patience above all. Final neighborhood walks revealed healing. Children reclaimed streets, barbecues warmed, paranoia dissipated. Mrs. Carmichael transformed the office with welcoming changes. As I loaded belongings, packing cat Winston practiced ease. Neighbors waved farewell. Some genuinely saddened, others relieved. They'd never comprehend the silent war beneath their awareness. Rear view mirror captured the neighborhood's restored peace. Spotting Karen's silhouette in her window, I recognized her continued surveillance lacked power or respect. She'd become a cautionary tale archived in secure servers. No headlines, no arrests. Just file designation, HOA_Karen_incident_complete, marking one of the year's quietest operations.